everybody, welcome back to the Spurs 9501 podcast. This is Ray in London and I've got Cam in Florida with us. We're just going to do a quick preview video for you on the Scotland-England game, which is going to happen this Friday. Hello Cam, welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having us. Nice to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to have you back. So what we're going to do is Cam is going to tell us what he thinks the England team is and then talk through his reasoning behind that. So I'm just going to put up this lineup builder we've got on the right. And then Cam is going to talk us through. So, Cam, who have you got in goal? Because last time you wanted Henderson, but Pickford. Henderson's injured. You put your blockers on him, haven't you?
I did, yeah. He got cropped straight away, didn't he? As soon as I mentioned his name.
So who's your goalie then?
Well, Pickford, I suppose, because let's face it, the thing about Southgate is he doesn't like to chop and change too much, does he?
No, he doesn't. So Pickford in goal.
Mm-hmm. I think that...
Left back.
Well, I mean, he played a right back at left back last time.
Yeah.
And that confused everybody, didn't it? But actually, to be fair, he didn't do too badly, did he?
No, he didn't.
Oh,
yeah, I think it was more of a defensive move, actually.
Yeah.
Try and be a bit more stale. But if he's going... So who do you think he's going to play?
Well, I've got a feeling...
But hold on a second. Which formation? Because let's do the formation. What formation do you think he's going to play? Is this set up as a 4-4-2?
I think a 4-3-3 myself.
4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 like he did last time with Kip
4-3. Yeah, you could do that.
4-2-3-1, yeah?
Yes, that's much better. Yeah, there you go.
Yep, 4-2-3-1. Okay.
I think he'll stick with Trippier on the left, but I would probably give Chilwell a chance, see what he can do, put a proper left back in, but I think that Mings had a great game and he should definitely keep his place. Tyrone Mings.
Yep.
Should definitely keep his place.
The right side, is Harry Maguire going to be fit or not?
Well, if he's fit, he'll play, and then Mings won't play. Otherwise, we'll have to put Stones in, who I thought didn't have a bad game, to be honest. I thought he did pretty well. I mean, Croatia.
So if Maguire does play, you think he's going to come in for Mings rather than for Stones?
Yeah, because again, I believe that Southgate likes to stick with his tried and tested players rather than he's not as adventurous as we'd like him to be, or as you need to be, I would say.
So let's put Stones in there because we're not sure if. Let's assume he's not going to be match fit.
Yeah.
So wouldn't risk him.
And he'll go with Walker because he's got the pace, he's got the strength. And
Reece James or anybody like that?
No, I think this is again. He'll go with what he knows, and this is the team that we're playing is basically you talk about a Premier League team playing a third division team in my eyes, but. That's no disrespect to Scotland, but they're lucky to be there.
Yeah. Okay. So in the middle, is it going to be Phillips and Rice again? Is it?
I think they're every game they should be there. They did such a great job. Can Phillips repeat what he did against Croatia? We'll find out.
We'll see. Yeah. So who's the three going to play?
I played Grealish on the left. Grealish didn't get to play last time, did he?
No, he didn't. Let's put Grealish on the left.
I put Rashford on the right.
And just talk us through why you're suggesting these changes in a minute, but let's do it first. And who's in the middle here?
Well, it's a really good question. I'd ask you, who would you put in that middle? I thought I said Sterling, but I mean, then you'd probably put him up front. Who would you put in that middle?
Yeah, that's a good. Who played there on the last match?
Well, it was Sterling and Kane up front, wasn't it? It wasn't Grealish, was it?
No. Mason Mount I put in the middle there. I put Mason Mount in there. Foden or Mount. So it's
got to be one of those two. There's no way one of those two is not playing. And actually, to be honest with you, I doubt if Rashford would go. Let's put Foden in.
I would put Mason Mount over instead of Rashford, actually. But it's up to you. It's
okay. Put Mount in. Because that's, I think, is really more realistic.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Kane up front.
Well, is it obviously? Some people saying he should be dropped for Calvert-Lewin and stuff like that. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, we just mentioned Rashford and we mentioned Sterling. Sterling scored. Rashford had some good runs. But there is no way that if Southgate won't drop some of the players that we mentioned, that he's going to drop Kane, the captain.
But let me just ask you, you said he's very loyal and he sticks to his players, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes you think he's going to drop our friend Raheem Sterling? So you think he's actually going to drop Sterling from the team?
I think that there's a lot of... I mean, if he doesn't give Grealish a run out, then why is he in the team? The guy needs to build up some confidence at this level. He's probably one of the best players in England at present on his form.
Yep.
I don't get it myself. How he didn't even get on the pitch. I really don't get it. I think
I think he was worried about Croatia attacking and there's no defensive solidity, I think.
Well, I think in this game he's got to start. But he's also got to perform. He's got to show us what he can do.
So you're going with that team, so you're dropping Raheem Sterling, are you?
Otherwise, Sterling will come in. I've got a feeling that Sterling will come in, but I'd like to stick with my Grealish. I think that's a pretty strong team, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty strong team. So what do you think England's strategy is going to be for this match? Are they going to sit back and let Scotland come onto them and then hit them on the break, or are they going to go for the jugular?
I don't even know who Scotland have got to come onto them, to be honest with you. Do you? I mean, apart from Shea Adams and maybe Scott McTominay in the middle and Kieran Tierney, they've got a few players that we've heard, but they are peripheral players, really.
Yeah.
I mean, all due respect to Scotland, love the passion of the fans. I hope they're listening. But as a Spurs fan who has no Scottish players in our team, I have to say, Scotland are one of the most mediocre teams in the competition. And if we don't use that to build on our players, then we should be going out to hammer them 5-0.
So if we beat Scotland, which we probably should do, that's us qualified, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's qualified, absolutely. Yeah. And then we've done what we know. Can I just read some stats about us and Scotland?
Yeah, please. I was waiting for your stats. You're the stats man.
I mean, it's really interesting. We've done better than... I mean, Scotland do raise their game against England. Let's be clear about it. We've beaten them 48 times, and they've beaten us 41 times with 24.
Really? Is it that close? I didn't realise
it was that close with 24 draws. And only 3 games in all those games that we played have been scoreless. So there's a lot of passion out there. So you got to add that in. It's Scotland's deep desire to thrash or beat England is going to be a factor here. Just like when we see in the FA Cups and stuff, we see the smaller teams coming up and knocking out the giants. This could be a giant killing opportunity for Scotland, and it will be their Euro Cup. This is it for them. This is their cup. If they beat England, they've won it already. They can go home after that.
It's like when West Ham play Tottenham, it's their FA Cup. Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely. Exactly the same. And the other thing I wanted to say that after the first time we played them, between the first and second matches, there was a 98-year gap between the first game. England played them first time in 1872, and then we didn't play them again for 98 years in 1970. I mean, I find that incredible.
What was the reason for that?
I don't know. But maybe it was too much passion, too many issues that they didn't play, but they didn't play for 98 years. And I suppose what we haven't factored into this is the passion from the Scottish fans and the fact that, and the Scottish players and their deep desire to beat England. But looking at that team could beat anybody, couldn't it?
I'm not sure they could beat France, but anyway.
That's interesting. I didn't really think... Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah. So that's your team. I went back to my strategy question to you. What is the strategy for England? Is it to go out and sit back, or do you think they're going to go for the juggler, get the goals, and just close the match off? How do you think they're going to approach it?
I think they'll approach it the same as Croatia. Go for the juggler in the first 30 minutes. If we get a couple of goals, then close it out. Call it quit. Save your energy, because if you want to... These knockout competitions, you've got to go in early. Don't overexpend your energy and try and save yourself for when the real games matter. Yeah, and you need a win, and they're through to the next, and then they can relax.
And what about Scotland? What's their strategy? Because if they if they could get a draw and then maybe nick a win against an aging Croatia team, they could get through. So what are they going to do? Or are they going to go for it as well?
Scotland, this is their cup final. This is their World Cup final. England in a competitive game in a European stage at Wembley, the World Cup final. I mean, the last time this happened, you probably remember, was in the Euro '96 with remember Gascoigne on the floor with the bottle of water in his face, scoring that wonder goal. So I would expect some fireworks. I would expect Scotland to really go for it. I think if England have one of those days where they play slowly and unsteadily, as we've seen the Tottenham teams play so many times, then that will give Scotland a way in and they will really push us. I mean, all I can say is, I've seen some of those smaller teams really go for it. And this is one of those FA Cup games, Liverpool against Colchester, where Colchester go crazy, That's how I'd see it.
What's your score prediction?
3-0 to England.
Okay, I'm going to go 3-1 to England. I can see the Scots sneaking a goal, 3-1, I think, to England. So that's the one done there. Let's talk through. We've just seen the France-Germany game. Give us your thoughts on that, Cam. How you saw those two teams potentially favourites. Remember you said about Germany, they bumble through, then they turn up in the final. How do you think that match went? What's your evaluation of the two teams?
I think obviously France very solid. I mean, so solid that you just look at the players that weren't on the field as opposed to the ones that they were. I thought at the back they looked okay. They looked like they could have had some space in midfield. I don't know what happens when Pogba plays for France, but he looks like a completely different player than when he plays for Manchester United. Completely different player. His balls, the way that he passes, the things that he does on the field, completely different. And it's sometimes really hard to kind of come.
I think he's got Kante doing all his donkey work for him, so he could just concentrate on playing.
There
forward.
you go.
I think that's it, really.
That's very good. I mean, when they got Kante in there and the players that they've got in there with the speed of Mbappe, as he said today, he was just too fast for himself, wasn't he? Two offsides. If he just manages to control that, then he's devastating. It could have been 3-0 easily. But what I can't understand about Germany is their finishing was atrocious. They had chances. They had a lot of chances. I thought they did. They in the second half they came out. They looked like they wanted to go for it. Gnabry was off form. And so was Havertz, and then they brought Werner on. You knew they were never going to score, so the game was already over in my eyes. And then, I saw some of the wayward balls that were going into the box, and they just never looked like they were going to do anything.
No,
so
they look like a team in the decline, but
in decline with a lot of young players, though.
Yeah,
How many
a lot of young players? They need to play together for a while, I think, before they can gel. There's some aging players in there.
Yeah.
Do you think and also let's talk about Portugal. I mean, they beat Hungary 3-0 today. Ronaldo, as usual, got a couple of goals. What do you think of the Portugal performance?
I thought the Portugal performance up until about the 80th minute was pretty poor. But everyone knew that they were playing in front of a packed out Hungarian crowd. If you ever wanted a lesson in how not to socially distance, then that was definitely it. I have absolutely no idea how they managed to cram in all those people in the middle of a pandemic, but there you go, that's Hungary for you. And so they had that crowd behind them, so that pushed them. But you always knew in the last 10 minutes they were going to tire, they couldn't keep it up. They had one good chance, that offside goal that looked like they may have nicked it. And then Ronaldo's Ronaldo. He came through, didn't he? I mean, his final goal, I thought he was offside, but he clearly wasn't. Beautiful footwork. Was he ever going to miss a penalty? No, he was never going to miss a penalty. The first goal was a lucky deflection. But again, Portugal won it last time. Portugal have never won their first opening game at the Euros. So there you go. That's got to say something.
They seem like a pretty good team to me. I mean, 7 players play in the English Premier League, so a decent team. With the midfielder Fernandes and Silva, etc. That's pretty good. So they could be the dark horses. So Portugal have won, Germany have lost, so Portugal and France have won. So is there any chance Germany can beat Portugal and qualify or not? What do you think? Because
Germany have to hammer Hungary 5 or 6-0 to get the favourite third place spot. Yeah. If they do that, they can come through. I don't see them doing that against Portugal. I think Germany probably go for a 0-0, or Portugal will go for it. How do you see Portugal, France going? I think
if they both qualified by that time, it might just be a ball draw.
Yeah, I would think so. I would go along with that.
But it could be interesting because if England, let's say England, I know we're going ahead of ourselves, but if England win their group, they could play the second place team in that group, couldn't they?
Yeah. And that'll probably be Portugal at this rate. Portugal or Germany.
No, I don't. I don't fancy our chances against Portugal.
Do you fancy our chances against Germany?
Yes, I do actually. I think Germany. We could, I don't think we could beat France, but I think we can beat Germany.
But you're going to win the cup. You're going to have to beat France at some time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're going to have to beat them sometime. Yeah,
you're going to have to beat somebody. Okay.
And what's your thoughts on the other teams we've seen in the Euro so far, Cam? Like Belgium.
I mean, teams like Italy. Everyone's raving about Italy. I thought Italy played such a poor Turkish team that it's hard to rave because they should have scored more goals. They were awful. I think the same goes for Belgium. They played a very poor Russian team, and I mean they did well. I mean, you saw the goals that Belgium. The first goal was a back pass from the Russian player. They were terrible team. So yeah, good wins. You'd expected them to win. Can we read anything into it at this stage? I don't think so. I think they were definitely given. Holland again. I thought. 3-2, letting Ukraine come back, score 2 goals. Very surprising, but I don't really rate them as much. I don't think they've got the depth to go all the way. They might definitely get into the playoffs. Okay. And the other team that surprised me that played really well was the Czech Republic. I thought they did really well. I mean, obviously that the goal of the tournament from the halfway line. Yeah,
great goal. And how do you think Wales did against Switzerland?
I thought that was another dud game. Well, I'd like to hear your views, but I thought the worst performance I've seen so far was from Spain. I thought Spain were awful. They were boring. I wanted to go out and watch my Wales rather than watch Spain.
I've got to make a confession. I knew I had a feeling what the Spain-Sweden match was going to be like, and I didn't watch it. And I heard it was really
you did the right thing. You'd been better off cutting off your little finger than watching that game. It was absolutely awful.
Well, I always said with these tournaments, the real fun starts in the knockout stage. At the moment, it could be tactical, and things like that. Let the knockout stage start, and then the real teams and the real passion and excitement will start. But I wanted to tell you one funny quote before we finish. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard it already, but Emmanuel Petit, the ex-French international, did you hear the quote he said about Kante?
No.
So basically he said 70% of the earth is covered by water and the other 30% is covered by N'Golo Kante. I thought that was quite funny, actually.
It was very funny. Yeah. I mean, Kante's got to be he's just unbelievable, isn't he?
He's
such a great guy. What can you say? I mean, he's won everything. He's done everything. And today he just blocked out that German team, negated them. He made Gnabry, who scored a hat-trick against us when he was at Bayern Munich, look ordinary. Totally ordinary.
Yeah. Amazing player. Yeah. Okay, Tam, Cam, your final thoughts before we close it off today? Just a quick preview of that Scotland game. Any final thoughts?
I think this is a chance for England to really show their mettle, take Scotland, pull out the sword and put them to the sword, as they say, and over and done with. But I'd like to see a good, healthy scoreline here. A 1-0 won't be good enough because I think Scotland will be out there with their brave hearts on, and they'll be out there for blood. So it should be a good, passionate game.
Okay, great. Well, thanks very much, Cal. This is Cam. This is Ray from Spurs 95.1 saying goodbye from London. Cam.
This is Cam from sunny Florida, waiting to see how England do. So come on, England, and come on, Spurs, as we always do.
And we'll see you on the next podcast, which will be a post-match analysis of the England-Scotland game. Let's hoping for an England win, but a good match. So take care, everybody. Speak to you soon. Take care, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye bye.